Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here, Smart Business Moves. We're in for a treat this afternoon. We've got Liz and Tom Glaspie, who, Tom, I don't know if you know this or not, but she refers to you as her little brother. I mean, I'm sure you're younger than her, but that's got several different connotations. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about that here in a little bit. How are you today, Tom?
I'm good. She's probably talking about the degree of our humility, mine being much less.
Yes, that's it, Tom. That's it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
There was more than one connotation there. I kind of had that feeling.
No, actually, I was thinking younger brother, but I didn't say baby brother. I'd be talking about toots there. But it's my little brother.
We had 4 little brothers, and all of them are ginormous, huge, right? And so they're all our little brothers, these giant people.
Big people, little younger in age. And one thing that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be learning everybody's nicknames. That's always fun.
Well, you know what, Tom? I don't think you really.
In my whole life, I've never had a nickname.
Yeah, you don't really have one.
Except for Big Funny, but I named myself that.
That's really true. Stuck. People do call you Big Funny. No, that's true. Tim calls you Big Funny all the time. That is true. Yeah, but you will learn all the nicknames. It's true. Hey, Denise. Yeah, you're going to love hearing from my brother. All right, let's do a little housekeeping.
So today's Tuesday. We're going to talk to Tom. And tomorrow is one of our favorite days of the month. It's Deal Day. We'll have several vendors on who it's just a pitch fest, and once a month we need to sell something. So they're going to be on. Everybody gets 4 minutes to share something about their product or service and why it's important and useful to cleaning businesses. And then they have a deal that goes along with that, and it's a special deal you can't get anywhere else, and it's good for about 48 hours. The deal expires end of day Friday. So you need to be with us tomorrow because you're not going to find the details of these deals anywhere else. I mean, we send all kinds of newsletters and stuff like that out. All we do is say that you got to go to Deal Day to find out what the deal is. But by this time, or like an hour from now, tomorrow, you'll know what the deals are, and you've got 48 hours to take advantage of that. Hey, Marlo, Leslie, how you guys doing?
Hey, guys. Tom, some of our regulars are on here.
Thursday is on the spot, and we have a secret guest for Thursday.
All right, you guys, I have to tell you, Tom has been preparing this phenomenal clue since yesterday. He's boxed me about it. He's reminded me that he's got it. So I'm ready, Tom. I'm waiting with bated breath.
Well, I almost dropped it yesterday. And I thought about it, and I said, no, I'm going to hold on to this till today because it will be more useful. And I thought about that delayed gratification test they do with kids, where you can put like a marshmallow in front of them and say, I'm leaving the room, and if I come back and that marshmallow is still there, you can have 2. Well, I was able to hold out.
So you're ready with 2 clues?
No, 1 clue, but
I'm excited.
An entire day for this, so I get an extra marshmallow.
Tom, we totally waited. We want 2 clues. Come on now.
Well,
fair.
This one will be as good as 2. Okay, you ready for that?
Lay it on us. Yes.
This is a little complicated. It's going to take me just a second.
Okay.
Pretend that our guest for Thursday for On the Spot has a twin brother. She may have a twin brother, I don't know. But for the sake of this clue, pretend that she does. And pretend at the time of their birth, their uncle was asked to name them. You with me so far?
So far.
Our guest.
You're right. This is a good clue, though.
Guest has a twin brother, and at the time of birth, their uncle is asked to name them. And if that were true, their uncle very well may have named her brother the nephew.
to nephew. All right, y'all. If you can't get it from to nephew as the twin brother, I don't know. I don't even know what to say right there. That's good, Tom. I like it. The nephew. That's good.
I'm sorry.
So
that
not
was,
just. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
No,
I'm
Tom,
done.
that was good. I love it.
I'm done for the rest of the
By far the
hour.
best
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
we've ever had. All right. All right. So it looks like we got a lot of people here ready to hear what my brother has to say. So just go ahead and jump on in. I'm gonna have you tell your story, Tom. I love your story. I've heard it tons of times. I always feel inspired by it and surprised. So let's hear it all.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. What I know about you is you're business owners and you're in the cleaning industry. I know how difficult that can be, knowing how hard my sister works and knowing how long she has worked so hard to get where she's at. Sometimes I honestly feel a little guilty that I basically screwed off the first 45 years of my life and then decided I better get to work at age 46. You guys probably know a little bit about my story. I won't go into all the details about the bad part, but I will tell you that from the age of 13 until the age of 45, I was caught up in addiction, alcoholism, and worse, much worse, I lacked character. I was caught up in lying and stealing and crime and behaviors that victimize others, much more important and much more serious than just the damage I did to myself, drinking and drugging. So it's probably the biggest part of my story is how I got from that place to where I got here to where I am today. But it's not necessary to delve into the details of all my behaviors back then. Oftentimes I'm asked to speak in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and recovery groups, and everybody's always surprised and tells us, "Hey, Tom, you didn't tell us any of your wild stories about when you were just a madman maniac running the streets naked, right?" And and I never felt that was important. That's not relevant. Suffice to say that it was very, very dark, and it was very, very tragic time for me and everyone around me. I hurt everyone that I came in contact with, and I destroyed everything that I interacted with. So with that bleak picture, at the age of 46, I decided to get sober. And when I decided to get sober, I ended up in a halfway house. Pretty interesting group of people there, very generous group of people, and they didn't actually have a bed for me. So the director of the program, while he wanted to help me very badly, he just didn't think that it was probably pretty smart to let me into his community of seriously recovering people. So he made me a deal that if I slept at the Salvation Army and I rode the bus away from their facility at the last bus out at night, and I took the first bus back from the Salvation Army, they would give me the $3 I needed to take that bus ride every day. And then when I was in their facility, they would feed me, they would wash my clothes, and they would let me listen to what they had going on. They had meetings there, and it was a recovery house. So I did that for a period of time. And after about a week and a half, they came up to me one day and said, "Hey, we just got an anonymous donor who gave $550 to sponsor one person for 1 month in the program. And we have a bed coming up tomorrow. So we want to gift this grant to you and welcome you into our home." So that was my first real home that I had in about 4.5 years. The prior 4.5 years I had spent either in jail or prison or homeless or living in the streets or shacks or empty houses that I would take over and hijack. So I'm a week sober. I'm a shaking mess. I have a home. I have food in me. Right now I weigh 180 pounds, and you can see I'm not a very big guy, but at that time I weighed 130 pounds. I was basically a walking skeleton. And understand that I was corrupt in every way. I had not put any work into fixing myself or healing the corruptness of my mind. Well, it didn't take them very long to get to know me and set some very basic rules around me. Rule number one, I wasn't allowed to talk. They told me to stop talking. Basically, Joe told me, shut up, Tom. No more talking, okay? We can have you here. We've agreed to that, but we can't have you talking anymore, all right? Stop. You're hurting me. So I wasn't allowed to talk, and that lasted about 2 weeks. I was only allowed to talk and share in the meeting for 5 minutes, and that was the deal. Oh, and I wasn't allowed to dig in the ashtrays for cigarette butts. They told me, it's gross. Stop. You can't do it anymore. No, you stop smoking until you can afford to buy some cigarettes. I didn't have any money, of course, So I couldn't talk. I couldn't smoke because, they wouldn't let me dig through their ashtrays, right? And the third rule was that I had to write something that meant something to me every single day. And so I did that for a couple of weeks, and I began to put my thoughts down. And it was a very interesting transition for me to have to go from all of my hidden thoughts in my mind that I had always protected from anybody knowing about, because I was a liar. I was a con man. I couldn't let anybody know what I thought, or what my goals or my motives were, because there was corrupt strategies behind everything I thought. But I began to put some ideas on paper, and I began to put some things down. And in the process of that, I realized that I was being honest with myself, and I was collecting things about me that were opening a door of understanding to who I am and who the person I wanted to be was. To this day, I still write down things about myself. It was a real gift. So with those 3 rules, I got to start. Now, just kind of wanted to tell you all that to kind of preface where I'm at. I'm in this homeless group. I've been there 3 weeks now. I'm on a sponsorship. I don't have any money, none. I did pull up there in an old beat up car, funny car that had one of those milk crates that you see behind the stores for a seat. I had to strap down the thing between the consoles. There was no interior in it. It was just a metal shell, right? Someone had stripped out, and I sat on this, no seatbelt or nothing. But they wouldn't let me drive. That was another rule. I couldn't drive because I didn't have a driver's license. So at this point, 3 weeks in, I realized that I better get busy. I need to do something. In a week, my rent is due here, $550. I hadn't really had $550 in probably a lot of years that I, didn't immediately expend on drugs or something. So I just said, okay, I got a little serious. How am I going to do this? And I started looking around. I found myself a little side hustle job. I collected a little money, and I got to start. I share this with you for one main reason, because you have to see that where I started at is far below the baseline of 0. I didn't start neutral. I'm not starting where you guys are. I'm not starting with someone who gets an idea someday, hey, I'm going to start a business. That's not where I started. I started in this massively deep hole. I owed $160,000 in child support because I never paid child support. I owed $17,000 to every single city and municipality I ever visited because they gave me traffic tickets when I came pulling through my jalopies, and they pulled me over and I threw the tickets away, right? So I owed Department of Corrections. I owed every single person. And besides that, part of recovery is you have to make amends for the things that you did. So I had a 32-page book of amends that I had to make to people that I had harmed, stolen from, or damaged in my life, right? A daunting task, to say the least. But 4 weeks in now, I had my little side hustle. I could almost pay my rent. I paid like $300, and they said, okay, next week you pay the other $250. We typically don't let people get into debt to us, but we're going to give you a chance. You're doing better. You're stop shaking. You notice you go to the bathroom in the bathroom now, and instead of outside. So I was making real progress, right? It had been a while since someone told me not to talk anymore, so I was pretty good. I was actually getting comfortable with having conversations. Oh, I didn't have any teeth. My front teeth were all rotted out, right, and broken. It was a pretty nasty scene. And what happened was I decided, you know what, I'm 46 years old. I owe hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that I just don't really see a way that I'm ever going to be able to make anything out of my life. How am I ever going to build anything that will be substantial? Do I really want my goal to be to someday I get a Social Security check and I have a little tiny trailer somewhere and I'm stable and I don't have to be to I don't have to be homeless. Is that really the sum of my ambition? I never really had goals. I never set any, I didn't have any real ambitions or set goals. I had dreams like everybody else. I think I wanted to be a astronaut or something like that. You know, everybody has dreams, right? But I didn't have any goals. I didn't have any really clearly defined ambitions. So, you know, I had enough lucidity after 30 days of being sober that I sat down in my exercise of writing, and I wrote down, where do I want to be in 5 years? And I really got challenged. I really got challenged to view that. I had this idea that was developing here over these last couple of weeks about what success looks like for me, what success looks like for other people, and what the path towards success must be for all people. And what are the common denominators that might exist in this process, right? In the meetings in Alcoholics, I was hearing this word, the process. Everyone was talking about the process of recovery, the process of change, the process of the miracles coming alive in your life. And somehow or another, I was very fortunate in the root core of the idea of a process began to infiltrate into my thinking, right? And so I decided to write out a process for myself to get to where I wanted to be in 1 year, 2 years, and 5 years. And I always think back to that, those goals that I set. That 5-year goal, I think that I set was the one I shared with you, that I could have like a travel trailer, a mobile home, right? The single wide that I owned outright. I didn't owe no money for, you know, I was thinking big, like one of them $20,000 ones, you know what I mean? That, you know, you could, and then I could live in that thing, and I could have a garden, and I could have a little shop where I could tweak out in the woods with, and I could have it paid off. So I never had to worry about being homeless. No one could kick me out. It was all paid for, right? You know, and that was a bold and ambitious goal for me at the time. You know, I say that humorously, but I will tell you that that was a courageous thing for me to try to shoot for something so lofty for myself. But I did. The next couple of years for me were a lot different than for most people, because for every one step I took forward, I would take 5 or 6 step backs. My ambition and my anxiety and my desire to move forward and to accomplish was outpacing my healing of myself, my learning to be honest, learning to put other people first, learning to tell the truth, learning to be sincere in all of the things that I did and I said, learning to value other people first and foremost above myself. And that was a difficult process for all those of you who have overcome habits, whether it be drinking or smoking or whatever it is. Understand habits are very, very hard to overcome. And when they are behavioral, they typically take years to overcome. So the next couple of years were pretty challenging for me. And I worked really, really hard on myself. I got a great sponsor and some mentors and some people that, for whatever reason, decided I was worth investing in. And they helped me out. And so I had my little ideal of accomplishing my goals. And I had this unbelievably difficult mission of healing myself and improving myself, running parallel at the same time. My idea was that I was going to have an insurance restoration company, right? Because insurance companies have money and people's houses are always burning down and flooding. And many times I had worked on in construction companies, day laborers fixing insurance jobs. So that's something I knew how to do. So during these 2 years, as I was fixing myself, I was also learning and studying to be a insurance estimator and an insurance contractor. It took me a little while to learn that I couldn't be an insurance estimator because I had this huge criminal past, right? They don't hire people with criminal records. You can't be an insurance estimator if you have a criminal record. So I kind of took me a couple of years to realize that and think that I couldn't overcome that. There was no way to. So I had to kind of make a pivot and become a contractor. And I took with me into this sincere desire and effort to become a different kind of person, to become the best person I could be. And I learned to inventory and audit my thoughts. Very, very important thing. Everything that I thought, all of my ideas, all of my choices, everything I ran through the filter of what is my measure of myself in this? How does this decision define who I am as a person? How does this decision correlate with the person that I want to be? Fake it till you make it type thing. Even if I'm not this person yet, I'm making decisions if I were that person. And with every decision I make as if I'm this person, then I'm becoming this person, right? So I worked really, 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 really hard on these 2 years to correct myself. In the process of these 2 years, running my little construction company and treating people fairly and doing what I believe the right thing at every choice. I wasn't always successful, but I think I was enough that I caught the few times that I wasn't, and I was able to go back and make a correction, either by telling the person, "Oh, I shouldn't have told you that. It wasn't exactly true. I don't know what I was thinking. I apologize. Here's the truth," right? Or, hey, I shouldn't have done this, but I did, and let me make amends and let me correct this. I apologize, right? So I think I did good enough that I think I caught all my mistakes, right? Then something happened to me. 2 years into my little process, I understood and learned a great truth, and the most important thing that I've ever learned in my life, as far as relates to my ability to become successful. And that is that your attitude determines your existence. Your attitude is the most important thing that there is. With your attitude, you can create whatever reality you want for yourself. You can literally be standing in the street, arms severed from a traffic accident, blood pumping into the gutter, and adopt an attitude of gratitude and determination to move forward from that spot in a new and better way than ever before, and your life is instantly changed. Other than an attitude of, "Oh my God, this happened to me. I'm in such terrible straits," right? And of course, that relates to all of the smaller experiences in life and everything that happens to you. And I made this absolutely dedicated, committed mission for myself that I would adopt an attitude of gratefulness and expectancy. And I would celebrate that constantly. What I mean by that is I adopted an attitude that I was so grateful for where I was. I was so grateful for everything that was going to come to me. And I practiced an attitude of expecting me. I expected good things to happen to me. Of course, at first, that was just an attitude that I created for myself. And I had to fake that, right, until I make it. But the universe has rules and laws, and I don't understand how they work, but I do understand when they do work, right? And this attitude that I expected the universe to shower me with all of these wonderful blessings, this attitude, and then celebrating it at every moment and being grateful. I was so grateful for everything that I had in my life. I didn't have much, I would tell you that. I had finally got my license, right? And someone gifted me a car. It was pretty cool. It was this little BMW car with no exhaust, and it was awesome, right? All rusted out and stuff. It was so cool. I had a BMW, and everyone laughed. There goes Tom, right? And I'm like, yeah, my BMW, I'm so cool, right? I didn't have a lot, right? I had my first apartment by this time. I had moved out, right? And I had a cute little, remember that tiny little apartment? And I had a dog. I had a dog, Mike. He was wonderful. And but I had this attitude. Where I expected the universe to shower me with benefits. And I practiced that attitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I told people, I'm so grateful every day. I had a group of people that I texted with. I had a group of people that I'm meeting, and I communicated to them the wealth of everything that came out of me was gratitude and celebration. And I adopted that attitude. And with that attitude, it was really kind of miraculous how doors began to just fly open. I don't know, did I track those doors to open? Was the timing right? Was it a product of my attitude? I truly believe it was. And to this day, I still practice it, and I know that it's true. Now, you can imagine I didn't get myself out of debt within 1 or 2 years. It took me a while. It took me a couple years. with the very first big job I got a check for $33,000. And when that check came, right, it didn't actually come. It came with an envelope, and in the envelope was a little note from child support saying, here's your receipt for your funds that were seized for your back child support. I thought I had this check for like $34,000. I was rich, right? Oh my God, I'm rich. I'm celebrating. I'm dancing around. But the check actually got seized, and I didn't get anything. They didn't give me a penny. They took it all. It was crazy. They kept $10 or something. I worked really hard for this. They gave me nothing. They took all the money, and my evil ex-wife to this day still sends me pictures of her tractor that she bought with it. Right. So yeah, it was a pretty difficult setback for me. I thought I finally clawed my way to, I had something substantial, $34,000, right? I'd never had more than $5,000 in my life. A check is $34,000. I think I slept at the mailbox, right? I didn't even come in the house. And, I know the mailman's going to be here in 3 days. I'm just going to camp out by the mailbox. Yeah, and it just had that letter in it, right? And it was devastating for me. It was so hard. It was such a difficult setback for me. I was crushed. All of my programming, my attitude, this ideal and this persona that I had been building, presenting, and nurturing inside myself to be absolutely grateful in all circumstances, was tested for the first time pretty seriously. And when I was done crying, throwing things, screaming, having my little tantrum like a child, I grabbed my notepad and I said, okay, I'm gonna write it out. I'm gonna write out what I think about this. I'm gonna write out how I feel about this. And in the process of writing it out, something absolutely amazing happened to me. Something so life-changing and shattering that I attribute where I'm at today to this single moment in time. And what happened was, as I was writing it, I realized that this is an opportunity. I think that this circumstance and the universe at the moment may be offering me an opportunity. Is it possible that this immense setback is actually an immense opportunity? Is it possible that the degree of tragedy that I see this moment to be is commensurate and proportionate to actually a degree of opportunity? And if I truly believe that attitude and the attitude that you have drives everything in your existence and your reality and all of those around you, if I truly believe that with all my heart, like I say I do and I do, then don't I need to apply that right now to here? And I did. And in a moment, just like that, my attitude changed, my reality changed, and I adopted this ideal that the universe, my ex-wife, support enforcement, were all conspiring against me towards my success. And I knew in a moment right there that they were conspiring to my success and that I should celebrate this like nothing else, because overcoming this, seeing this challenge being taken down, paying large part of my child support too is a bonus, because I had a schedule to do that. I've been making small payments, right? I shifted in a moment. I shifted with my attitude, and I really, really got serious about the direction I was going. You see, up until that point, I had this idea that I wanted to succeed, that I wanted to have a successful construction company. I wanted to start flipping houses. I watched those TV shows and I thought that was cool. I'm going to flip houses, right? That's so cool, right? Give me a hammer and a microphone. I'm on it, right? But I realized at the same time that it was just dreams. It wasn't clear goals. It was just me wanting to do this and kind of working real hard, 16-hour days, hard as I can, hoping it all works out and just forging ahead and trying more and trying this and trying that, coming home tired, coming home exhausted. When one thing didn't work, try another thing, getting up every morning with a sense of, okay, just keep moving forward, keep moving forward. And that's where I'd been for quite a while. But in that moment, and that realization that this opportunity that had been afforded to me, I needed to take advantage of it across every single area of my life. And the place that I realized that I was lacking, I don't know where I came up with this or how I understood it, but the place that I realized I needed was clear goals. I didn't have clear goals. My goals weren't written out. They weren't written out. So that day, that very moment, I tore that page off right that I've been writing on, and I wrote Tom's goals. And I began to collect real goals. What I did is I painted a picture of my life. And I urge everybody to do this. I think this is something that we should be taught to do at a young age. We should paint a picture of our life and what we want our life to look like. Where do I want to live? What kind of car do I want to drive? Who are my friends? What do I do in my free time? What do I do in my hobbies? What kind of conversations would I have? Where do I vacation? What kind of clothes do I wear? All of the different components and elements of my life, right? And I did that. I took that exercise. Hi, hon. I'm on a little seminar thing. So I took all of and I defined all of these areas of my life, and I began to write them out. And it didn't happen the first day, and I wasn't all done and healed that day in my goal shortage ability. But I really set my mind to that, and I practice and I practice and I practice. And I worked for the next 2 years setting goals, and my life just took off. That's all. I set goals that were so far above where I was that I had to change the person that I was to accomplish them. I believe that with my attitude of expectancy and celebration, I would attract towards me opportunities that would afford me the opportunity to accomplish these goals. And with every single setback that came to me, every single failure, every single time that I didn't accomplish, someone said no, it didn't work out, that each one of those things were the universe conspiring towards my success. Those were my opportunities. Those were the things that I sought out. Those failures and those deficiencies and those lacks and those setbacks, every single one of them, I sought them out. I began to look to them. I began to set goals higher and higher and higher so that they would afford me more of those. With each one, I could utilize them as an opportunity to change who I was, open up my realm of opportunity, and launch myself forward another degree. And that was the attitude that I took into the next 4 years. In the next 4 years, I earned $10 million. I bought hundreds and hundreds of homes and sold them. I hired hundreds and hundreds of people. I met a wonderful woman. I bought my first house. Bought my first house at 50 years old, a tiny little cabin. Now I own hundreds of houses, right? I'm building an incredibly epic home on a mountain in Hawaii right now for myself. It all happened when I realized that I needed to set goals that were so clear and that I was so convinced that I could achieve that I challenged myself to get there. And through the whole process, with every setback, I celebrated the challenges. I celebrated the problems. I looked at every single one of them as the actual opportunity that would get me to where I wanted to be. Today, you can trust me. I'm a 100% honest person. I care about other people around me. I'm very involved in service and giving back into the community that has been so good and generous to me. I have a wonderful team of employees. I have this great company. I like to think that people like working for me, that, all my job sites are happy and they have good spirit on them. I have passive income. I'm set for life. I never have to worry about anything. I have wonderful relationships, and I'm very, very grateful still for all that has got me to this place. So thanks for letting me tell my story.
I want to hit on a couple of things. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. You see that Marlo said the same thing that I say, such an inspirational story. But I want to point out a couple of things too that from the outside looking in, right? So yes, so my brother literally he's under exaggerating how bad he was, y'all. He's making it sound almost better. We actually called him Uncle Icky. Like I told my kids, Don't ever let him into the house if he comes. Never. Don't want him. He was scary. And as he was changing and turning into the person he was, like he said, it wasn't always easy. But those goals that he set, you hear how like his life now is not just that. He doesn't talk about success in terms of how much money he has. He talks about success in terms of like relationships and how happy his employees are and all of these other things, because that was part of the goal setting that he did, was always like such a much bigger picture than I think a lot of us do. And I watched him, like when things were bad, like I remember times where and this wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was now, but he was pretty far into it. He had a lot of homes he was buying, and he couldn't afford to pay like taxes. And he's like, don't care. More, move forward. We're doing more. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. We'll make it happen. We'll push. And like Tom, you worked massive hours at that time too, but you did always find a time to celebrate. That was like always something that was super like impressive, even during like not good times. Employees, no money, no way. What are we going to do? We got to make it happen. We got to do this. How can we do it? You always were looking for more opportunities, more ways. You always were thinking outside the box, different things that you could do. How could you leverage what you had, even when sometimes you weren't in a great spot? And then the other thing is, when you got to a good spot, when you were first getting to good spots, you never sat on your laurels. You were never like, okay, good, I'm at a good spot. Now I'm going to relax. That wasn't a thing. Yes, you celebrated, and maybe your celebration was a little bit bigger, but still hard driving. I think this is the first year that I've seen you not be hard driving, right?
Yeah, I think when I talk about these times when the universe was conspiring towards my success, I have to understand that there was many times when I didn't know if I could continue. I didn't know how I was going to make it. There was once where I was $800,000 in debt. I had 30 houses that I couldn't make the payment on. They weren't selling. It was everything was imploding on me. The lenders were calling me. The banks were calling me. I didn't have money for payroll. I didn't sleep. I cried. I was just, what do I do? How do I get from here to these goals, to that picture I've painted on my refrigerator, the description of my life, the design life that I had written out, right? How do I get there? Just tenacity, no matter what. I wasn't going to fail. I was going to my attitude. My attitude is, I am going to do this. I'm celebrating that it's happening. I can't see how it's going to happen. I know that this is one of the great opportunities to help me get there and help me to become the person I am that can go live this life that I have designed, written out on my refrigerator, right? It was dark times, many times, and not just once or twice, but time after time after time for years.
The other thing that I saw you do a lot, Tom, was you didn't just, it wasn't just straight up with your personal growth either. You would grow, and you'd have great attitude. Everything was going great. And then you would nosedive, like poof, hit the ground because you were in a bad spot. But then you would pick yourself back up and you're like, no, that's not who I am. This is who I am. And you would intentionally decide that you're going to go this way and work toward your plan again. I mean, that was always so super impressive, because it'd be so easy to just fall back, but you never did. I mean, every time you would have a stumble, it would just be such a short, small thing and again, always go into the attitude. So that, it's hard to, I wrote down a couple things that you said, and obviously I've listened to my brother talk a lot, you guys, but a couple of points that he makes a lot that I wanted to point out to you, that because he's had a lot to say and it is inspiring. It's easy to get caught up in the story. So a couple of things that he says that I know have always been really helpful is, so he thought in the very beginning, write things down about yourself. He still does that to this day. You heard him say that, right? Also, he didn't say this, but he does do this. He still has mentors. He's still in coaching. Still, how excited were you to go see what's his name in New York? Tony Robbins, right? So he's always looking for more improvement, how he can grow. So that's first thing. But write things down about yourself and how good you are. Second thing is clearly define goals. In the beginning, he thought he had them, right? He first thought he wrote them down, but then later, remember, he said 2 years in, he realized he didn't have them. So if your goals aren't inspiring, if they're not pushing you further, and this is a big thing for me, speaking of myself here, you got to write better goals. They got to be better. They got to make more sense to you. They got to matter more. The next thing is, what does success look like for you? Not for my brother, not for me, not for Tom, not for anybody in the industry, but for you. What does success look like for you? And that big picture that he said, kind of like a vision board. What do you want to wear? What kind of car do you want to drive? What do you want to eat? What do your vacations look like? He preaches this a lot, you guys.
Oh yeah,
he has
it's so important.
All the time he preaches this. And he has this crazy spreadsheet that, well, we all have this spreadsheet because he's created for everybody, that is all about plugging in your numbers and changing them and watching your money and focusing on, got to get the money first because you can't have everything else if you don't have the money. So you gotta keep going, but it's the attitude, right? First, that attitude. So that big goal, vision board, and then valuing others over self. You heard him say that a lot too, right? He had to learn how to value others over self, which is hard for a lot of us. We're like, yeah, but we got to focus on us first. No. And then inventory and audit his thoughts. He did that all the time. Inventory and audit his thoughts. You still would do that today, right, Tom?
Oh, every day.
Still.
Constantly.
That's lifelong. So I love this idea of inventory. Go ahead, Tom.
My ideal behind that still stands is that I want to inventory every thought. You see, my goal is that every thought that I have double checked and inventoried that is a thought that comes from the person that I want to be. I'm constantly evaluating that, and I'm constantly looking at it. I'm constantly measuring myself in regards to being the best person that I can. I don't let my thoughts, I try not to let my thoughts, I should say, right? I'm a person, I'm a human, right? I try not to let my thoughts just run down their track. I think if I do that, then like most people, that they began to degrade and I began to focus on myself.
What does the activity of inventorying your thoughts look like? I mean, you mentioned you need to write things down about yourself. I mean, do those kind of go together? I'm not sure what things I would be writing down about myself. What does that look like?
So for me, Tom, I come from a much different place than you have. And much of what I was inventorying was parts of my character and parts of personality that I felt were corrupt or substandard, right? But as time went by and, those were no longer a part of who I am as a person, I still had these habits of doing my own self-evaluation. So what I did is I changed that habit of doing a self-analysis and inventorying of my thoughts from the part of correcting myself and healing myself to evaluating how my thoughts align with my goals and how my thoughts align with my attitude. And okay, now this thought that I had, this behavior that I had, these words that I said, how did that affect my goal? How is this in line with this attitude I have? And I understand this attitude in three parts becomes the definition of who I am. I am grateful, number one, more than anything else. Number two, I am expectant. I am expecting the universe to bring me all of these great things that I have. And number three, I am convinced. I am convinced of these things. I don't doubt any of it. I know for sure that these truths hold true. So these are the thoughts that I evaluate and I capture. And Buffy talks about my spreadsheets. My spreadsheets really is a financial spreadsheet, but it really is a goal sheet. And it paints a picture of the life that I want to leave. Everything in there. You know, I talk about the clothes that I have. There's a budget line for every single thing that I want to define my life. So I'm also constantly evaluating how my thoughts, how my behaviors, how my words, and my actions affect my goals in that spreadsheet. And I'm constantly, every morning, I'm writing in that. Every morning, I'm looking at it. Every morning, even 12 years later, you know, I'm still working in that.
You mentioned celebrate, which is kind of interesting. I mean, the mechanical parts of knowing what your goals are and expecting to be successful and all those behaviors, but after the fact, how does celebrate, how important is that to the whole formula?
It's like putting nitrous oxide in your engine, right? A car will run down the freeway on pretty much any fuel that you put in it. But if you put a super high octane nitrous in it, then it just flies down the road, right? I equate gratefulness and a celebratory mindset as high octane fuel. Certainly you can keep moving forward. We all know this. We work so hard, you know, we have little wins, we have little loses, we move forward in our life. But this idea that you celebrate this existence in this reality that you are moving towards, celebrate it as if it were here now. We all know the law of attraction, right? You know, it's inarguable that the universe has these rules. We don't understand them, but definitely they work, right? It's one of the tools I use in the law of attraction. I celebrate this reality that I have, this future that I have coming, while I'm grateful for the reality that I have today. That's one of the things my sister Buffy has always struggled with. The first time I ever told her about celebrate it, she's like, celebrate? Yeah, I catch a lot of what you're saying, brother, but celebrate, you know, that's, now you're just talking weird, right? Okay, so anyway, you know, I challenge you to explain me celebrate. And I struggle to explain it to her. I mean, how do you not get this? Celebrate. It's so awesome. Look at this life. Probably a little easier for me than most people, you know, living in a dumpster to living in my own apartment, you know, great cause to celebrate, right? That's kind of easy for me, you know? So, but, yeah, I think that there's nothing more important than this attitude of celebratory gratefulness. It is what attracts you towards your success. Celebrate. Find something in your future, on your goal sheet, in your plan for yourself, this design life. Find something, pick it out, and celebrate it. Celebrate it as if you have it today. Celebrate it. Why wait? You're getting it. You're going to work your way there. Believe in yourself. You will get there, right? Practice celebrating it now. Celebrate it. Have a party, right? I used to buy myself socks. Yay, celebrate, right? I believe
so you actually celebrate before you even hit the goal because you know that you are.
Absolutely.
That is coming.
It attracts you towards that goal.
Okay.
You know how
So I can tell you guys too, my husband works for Tom. Tim works for Tom. And it's one of the things that Tim does now, having worked for Tom for all these years. He gets so excited about things that haven't happened yet. He's like,
Yeah,
it's so
awesome.
exciting. Can you believe this is happening, honey? I'm like, I don't get it. Like, why are you excited now? It hasn't happened yet. He's like, but it is. It's happening right now. It is happening.
Yeah.
We're in
It's
it.
awesome.
And he does all the time. Yeah. I still struggle. Like, I don't get excited about going on vacation until I'm there. But he's like, we gotta be excited about the stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's too late then. It's too late.
I remember reading a book, and it was kind of talking about a trap that people can fall into, where one day you'll decide that you're going to run a marathon. And the next thing you do, you're telling your friends that you're going to be running a marathon. And I got up this morning and I ran a mile. And your friends are saying, that's awesome. You're going to be running a marathon. And the adrenaline's flowing and you kind of get that euphoric rush in your head, like, you just ran a marathon. And that's good enough for you. And you never really get past, running a mile or two, because in your head, you think you already did. And all you did was just dream it and got accolades for thinking about doing something. So how do you not fall into that trap?
Yeah, I don't know. I could see where
Goals.
that might happen to somebody.
That's where your spreadsheet comes in, Tom. That's where your goals always.
Yeah, no, I have a very clearly defined goal set that I'm convinced I am going to accomplish, and I check it every single day. I measure my progress at all times. I like to tell people, how I quit smoking? I quit smoking by celebrating that I was quitting smoking. I was so annoying for so long. Did I tell you I quit smoking? Hey, I'm a non-smoker. Did I tell you? Okay, now this is 10 minutes in. I'm a non-smoker, right? I'm a non-smoker. Day 3. Hey, I quit smoking. Did I tell you, right? And I told my daughter, that's how you quit smoking. You celebrate you don't smoke. And there's no way to really smoke when you're celebrating that you quit smoking. There's no way to really fail when you're celebrating that you're a success, right? How do you do those two things? They're diametrically opposed.
I'm assuming
it has to be true celebration.
I'm assuming this philosophy is a key part of your leadership style, because this has to be contagious. And I mean, you're accomplishing a lot, and you're not doing it all with your own two hands. You're doing this through a lot of people. So, I mean, this is it sounds like this is a culture that you create within your organization.
Oh, absolutely. We have regular meetings in the office. COVID has changed that quite a bit, of course. I've mainly moved over to the house. But we have Friday Fun Day. Friday Fun Day at 12 o'clock. Everyone in my office stops working. There's no work on Friday past 12 o'clock. Friday's a day for celebration, right? Friday is a day for us to share. We would pick one person every week, and they would be our VIP, and they'd be our Friday Fun Day celebrity, right? And they would share with about them with our lives and our goals. And she was saying about Tim. Tim didn't used to always be that way. Tim was actually kind of I don't know, maybe someday it'd be cool. Oh no, not Tim. Now he's like, yes, oh my God, look what's happening in our lives. Look where we're going. Now understand that this hasn't actually happened in his life yet. He's like, oh, we got these great, and all this happened, and they are coming to him, and we have clear goals, and it's all mapped out, and the spreadsheets show that it's going to be, and our meetings show it's going to be, and every Friday we talk about it and celebrate it, and it has infected him with this certainty that this amazing life that he has now, and will grow better and better over time. It's definitely, I try to, I won't say so much that I try to teach it, but I definitely know that I allow the infectious nature of it to permeate out through my office and my staff.
You live it. You absolutely do live it. Yeah. So there's no way not to get infected by it, because you do really live it. Yeah.
Guys,
and you have for years.
I have some bad news. We're at the top of the hour, and I mean, this is, Tom, this is like one of the best hours I think we've ever spent doing this. I mean, this is really inspiring and tremendously useful information. I've got a bunch of notes.
I'm sorry you only had 5 minutes worth of info to share with us today, Tom. He told me today, I don't think I have more than like 5 minutes to talk about, sis. I was like, please.
And Liz hit me up earlier today. It's like, gee, I hope that, we're able to pull this through an hour. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not sweating this at all. I think that we just kind of set the stage and step aside. And, whoa, inspiring. Awesome stuff. Truly, we've got a lot of positive comments here about how motivating this is. And, you really need to write a book. Well, this is a training program that you could do whatever you want to do with this. And you're doing obviously tremendous things with your business and helping a lot of people in a lot of ways. If you ever get bored with that, you've got another career ahead of you. It's just a matter of if you want to go down that path.
Let me share.
He's semi-retired now.
Yeah, and starting to think about spending some time in Hawaii with my wonderful wife and my puppies, right? Let me really just kind of hone down on one little part I glossed over. To take away one nugget of truth that has worked for me and has been the benchmark that I have went back to when times are hard and times are difficult, when I'm tired and I'm filled with doubt. Because remember, like Buffy said, Liz says, oftentimes, I'd go crashing down, right? And then I pick myself up. I'm a person, right? And I feel all the things people feel, and I have successes and failures and all of that. It's a process. You have to embrace the process. There is no quick way there. There's no instant way there. You have to embrace the process. And when you truly embrace the process with the full entirety of who you are and your being, when you see your clear goals, I call it my defined life, right? This life that I've drawn out for myself, and you work so hard to envision what that process is. Celebrate that process. Yes, it's going to be hard at times. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's not all going to go off the way it's supposed to be. But if you celebrate that process, because that process and that work is your life, it's who you are. It's your experience. It's your life. It's other people's experience of their time with you and their exposure to you. Everything of value happens in a process. If you want to be successful, then you have to celebrate the process of becoming successful, because success doesn't come later. Success comes in the process.
It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the journey just gets better and better. I'm watching it in my brother, so the journey just gets better and better. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Tom. I appreciate it. He doesn't normally have an hour to give up, you guys. He's semi-retired. He's got things to do. He's got fun to have. And really, he takes his fun very seriously. Like, I'm like semi-joking, but he takes his fun as seriously as he takes his work. He schedules that in, schedules vacations, time, what he's going to do. How long did it take you to build those beehives, Tom? You're like, he's a beekeeper. Like a real beekeeper, y'all, not just like, a little beehive and a couple of bees, the real thing. How long did it take you to build that?
Yeah, probably not long enough. Pretty quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it took me 2 years to understand exactly what I wanted. Let me say that one of the things I did early on is that Friday at 5:00, I went and celebrated, right? I went and lived my life. I didn't work. Friday at 5:00 until Monday morning at 3:30. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, y'all. So that might be, maybe that you want to try it for a couple of years, see how that works for you. But I wake up at 3:30 and I spend a couple hours alone at my desk. But from Friday at 5:00 till Monday at morning at 3:30, I celebrated my life. I went and did things. I went to parks and drove my motorhome and went out to dinner and all of the things that I wrote on my piece of paper in my design life that I want to do with my spare time. I did not let work carry over into my weekends. I let it take over 18 hours of my day. I worked 3:30 in the morning until 8:00 at night for many, many years. It's just manically, right? But I still had the weekends for myself. I still scheduled my fun, like Liz says. I still made sure. And Wednesday nights, my wife, when we were dating, she wanted to have a Wednesday night date night. I'm like, Wednesday night? That's a work day. 5:00 to 9:00. I'm like in my third shift. I'm busy, So, but I did. I learned to schedule my fun too,
Yeah. Well, tell Sandra I said hi. Thank you so much. Give the pups kisses for me.
Tom, thank you immensely. Thank you so much for sharing with us. This was awesome.
Yes,
Yeah,
Buffy.
thanks so much,
Buffy.
Tom.
She's Buffy, you guys. I know that you guys call her Liz, probably to her face, but trust me, behind her back, she much prefers Buffy.
She's a Buffy. She's a Buffy on the inside. Okay.
I'm Buffy to him for sure.
We
I
went
can't
over.
do Liz. It's hard.
We went over today, but for good reason. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 Eastern. It's deal day. Be with us. It's going to be
Thanks, y'all.
cool. Bye-bye.